what else y'all cover, because it really is an important topic for me. So I want to follow up. All right, very good. Talk
Okay.
to y'all
See you
later.
later, David.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Yes, I've actually completely forgotten what we were talking about.
But utopian, like
Oh,
the
utopia. Yes.
a tiny seed of utopia that isn't isn't communism, isn't purposely right. We just need top down utopia. We just need to enforce utopia that okays any evil if I'm doing a good from it, versus having individuals who are real and raw and not looking for perfection, but are looking to be in service to a better tomorrow, a better future, a better whatever their version is, but aren't doing, like, what about all the lazy people? They're not invited, or they, you know what I mean? Like, are they invited? Are they here? Then we'll deal with them. But if not, the seed doesn't need 8 billion. It needs, a tiny few that aren't, there's an essence that is like Christianity and is like converting people, but like converting people to a non-conversion, converting people to a right purpose-driven life pays for itself in and of itself. The dark side of the like, remind me of the name of your thing, Kylie.
Chaotic flow.
Chaotic flow. We call it quantum shifting, and that was not chaotic flow.
The purple side.
And
Mhm.
like us doing our own work that we're here to do outside of the economy is payment in and of itself. But when we're putting it under hours and payment and the economy, it loses a lot of its actual intrinsic value, and we only have it. I'm good saying 17 different things at once, but that's how my brain rolls in service to the greater whole.
I think something I'd like to see a lot of, like so David Rugg's video, I said that I liked it. And part of it is that it's really good, it's really good curation. And Eric was talking before, I think probably before you came on, Jubilee, about like the basically stop income tax, as a thing. And it's like, and you remove a whole bunch of waste and fat and bureaucracy and frustration. And it's like, to me, it's like I wish that there were more people who were looking at the things that we're doing that are stupid, that should stop, than trying to dream up some kind of utopia and push everyone towards that. Because the thing is, it's like, we won't know what the possibilities are until we've stopped the things that need to stop, right? It's like clearing everything off a table. Now you can put a whole bunch of different things on the table that you couldn't put on there before, right? So I'd just love to see a lot more of the sitting down, looking at what's the legislation that we've all got here at this level at the moment. Like, does it actually make sense, or is it still about tying your horse up, how long you can keep the horse tied up outside the bar for? It's like just things that are completely irrelevant, and just weighing everything and everyone down. As if we could sort of get together and just kind of go through it and go, okay, what can we get rid of? Like, let's do a spring clean, start with a spring clean, and then we worry
There
about
is
what we
no
can do.
process, right? Because to get together and get this sorted out is a hell of a lot right? Like there is no process, like we've talked about a lot, of there being an expiration date, there being something that like they fall away. There is no process for that. There is just dinosaur lives forever, keep adding band-aids to problems, ignore the problems. There's it like we literally can't do that because we haven't designed it to be that way. We've designed it to ignore the problem. You're the problem if you point out the problem.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't put a seed in really shitty soil and expect it to grow. So it's like there's not even really much point sort of trying to get into the seed until we've
No, but that's not what seeds do though, right? Yes, if you want to grow a lot, you want perfect conditions, but that's not what nature does. Nature grows the seed, right? There's seeds everywhere. There's weeds. It's not lacking for, doesn't matter what the soil is, something's growing in it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's when it's actually soil. It doesn't do it in concrete.
It's true.
Well,
I threw the concrete, like in between.
yeah, I mean, you soon
It'll try
find
and do it
cracks in concrete
between.
with shit growing out of it. Like sooner or later, stuff. But yeah, anyway, sorry, I'm being pedantic here.
Yeah.
But Jubilee's point is well taken. Whatever the substrate, something's growing on it.
Yeah, I just don't think that that means that you just leave really crappy substrate there. I think that the first.
Oh, no, 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 no. And I
Oh,
don't think that's what
absolutely.
Jubilee was
I'm
suggesting either.
absolutely agreeing with what you're saying. It's just
Yeah.
that we need to get together to decide on this. Is that right? The tier 2 people, we're already, you know what I mean? Like, yes, generate the new thing or get rid of the old thing. All of it isn't actually creating it in the world because the world is so, the substrate is broken. And a lot of it is like, right, waking up to that. And there's something that is in the seed that's like, right, creating things that are dealing with the seed and the substrate and not yelling at things to not be the seed they are, you know, yelling at things to not be the environment that they need. And, you know, yelling at things doesn't get them to grow faster. Like growing doesn't need management. It really doesn't. Like really.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so much of it is just about getting rid of obstacles. Is kind of what I'm, you know, I think we're both sort of saying much the same kind of thing. Like yes, yelling at each other doesn't get anything done. But I suppose I'm stepping a little bit back from the vision kind of stuff as well. That there's just, whether it's utopian or it's just a vision, it's kind of like, well, in either case, it's like it's kind of too early to have a vision. It's, in a way that the important thing is to stop
Stop doing the obviously stupid shit. Let's start there, right? Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Because we'll probably agree on that one more than we agree on.
I agree. No, I couldn't agree. And in terms of bang for your buck as well, I think that's the lowest hanging, richest, ripest fruit is. Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Did you guys end up talking about Elon and Trump and yesterday on Twitter?
Not specifically about yesterday, but we talked a little bit about Elon and Trump. Yeah. But not much. No, none of us really know that much. David knows a bit, but neither Kylie nor I actually know very much about it.
They're falling out. Mainly just the one tweet that Elon did of that Trump's on the Epstein files. That's why he's not releasing them. And not that that's a surprise, not that it's
well, Elon tweeted that.
It's that Elon tweeted it. It's that this is nearly parallel exactly what has been going on in the Ali Priestley Mean Girl debacle thing. It is like influencer drama. This is world leader drama. This is them having a falling out and now releasing all of their secrets. They're two narcissists and the world's going to pay the price. What was my point though? I just have agree down here and underlined.
Yeah, I've started doing that, making myself little notes because I do the same thing. I start talking, I go off on a little tangent or something, and I forget what I actually wanted to say. I keep doing it, so I've got a pad and paper next to me now.
Oh, I think what I was saying is I think fundamentally most of us agree on most of the fundamentals of life and what makes life worth living and all, but like the individual stories that we've grown up with where you're the hero of this story and ignore all of the externalities that you have, like forget that you kill 50 people to be the hero. They don't matter. They don't have lives and families, and you know what I mean? You're the hero, you're the center of the story, and we don't really have that many stories that are truly interconnected and showcase, right, if one person's winning, another person's losing. And we don't deal with that tension because it's like, no, they're the hero, they're the savior, they're the thing that's gonna it's like, that's not who we are. We're complex human beings that are heroes and villains in each other's stories. And anyway, that like both the individual drama that is playing out on for the world to see that I saw coming, and I think a lot of us saw coming when they were getting in cahoots. It's like you don't.
Oh, it's inevitable. Yeah. I mean, if you didn't see it coming, you were blind.
And that they're doing this like in tweet form, you know what I mean? Not
of course. Well, where else are they going to have their fight?
No, exactly. We wouldn't know about it otherwise, and it wouldn't have.
I would love to see them put some gloves on and get into a ring. That would be fun.
And Elon was like, I'm the one who got you the presidency, right? Like, I'm the reason you're there. Oh, they threatened to deport. They're threatening to deport Elon because he's possibly an illegal immigrant. Like,
So,
like, this is
so what started all this? What started it?
Elon saying something negative about the big beautiful bill, I think. And then Trump saying something, I don't know. I mean, it's so interesting because Elon is a train wreck that's on ketamine that's like, but everything he is kind of out in the open to a certain degree. He's like a new money, old money, weirdness that whatever. He's Elon. He's a one of a kind. Whereas their breakup is gonna be, well, nuclear. I don't.
Maybe I'll start getting back into watching a couple of podcasts and things because this sounds like it might be quite entertaining.
I didn't really pay that much attention. People were just, I was like, I got other things to do. There's other things grabbing my attention, but there was something about, the tweets and people like, I'm like, this is just another day, isn't it? So this is what goes on. Nazi salutes at the inauguration. It's like, there's been a lot that's happened in the last.
Yeah. Still don't know what to make of that. It was a very odd gesture.
Yes. A lot of it, like True Blood, the TV show, got brought back into my existence, and I just watched one episode that was relevant. But like the idea of a vampire world where they have a fake blood that you can drink. I guess they have a fake blood that you can drink, so they can live without humans. Sorry, I was in the one that I was watching. They were talking about the idea of a civil war, right? How they're trying to stop a civil war between the vampires and the humans. All humans know vampires exist because it's like Coca-Cola, right? Like True Blood, you're buying it along Labatt Light at the bar because vampires exist. Humans, like there's something about the genocide on both sides. Like you can't kill off all the humans. You wouldn't have a food source. Except there's True Blood, so I guess you would have a food source, but you wouldn't like it as much. It's like doesn't taste quite as good as humans. And humans can kill vampires, but they're way less strong. So you're never going to get every last one, and they can always make more. And there's also something in the dichotomy of like a newborn baby being precious and sweet and like precious and almost like the most human amongst us that we want to protect collectively as humans.
Extra delicious if you're a vampire,
and extra delicious if you're a vampire, but also a baby vampire, brand new vampire, isn't actually a fully like it's like no, you have to like become an old vampire to be valued, to be, you know what I mean? Like if you're a 500-year-old vampire and you get staked, that is something versus if you're staked on day one, we lose most of them on day one, right? Like anyway, the idea of the genocide though, because this idea that has existed in history that I know, we'll just kill them all. I got it. We'll just kill them all without the obvious. You never get them all unless they're literally all on the battlefield, and even then, the chance like by trying to kill them, you really do create them and scatter them with an intention to come back and retaliate. Like the very act of trying to kill off a group creates that group with fervent. I don't know.
Very nearly done here.
What are you doing?
Would you like to see my piece? Would you like to see my pea collection?
Well, I don't know. There was already someone peeing on camera on my YouTube. This seems like a much more appropriate piece on camera.
Better kind of piece.
That's
on
the
camera.
empty husks.
That's
the tub of empty husks there.
Those are like my favorite. Eating those. Eating like the whole.
Really? Oh no! I mean, you can chomp on them and spit them out again. That's okay, but you can't I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of like. I mean, I don't like sit down and have a snack of them, but like, there's something about when I don't have them versus like store doesn't work. It has to be straight off the bush. I hate peas except for fresh peas. Cooked peas in any way, shape, or form are
oh,
disgusting.
really? Oh,
And
I
a
like
vile
peas
vegetable that
too.
you wiped off the face of the planet. But the fresh ones,
I like peas in pretty much any shape or form, and they freeze so well as well. There you go. There's my tub of shelled peas.
It's such a
Tub
small thing
selection as
compared to
well,
the
right?
size of the
Size wise,
puffs.
good tub selection.
Yeah, you did well.
Yeah, pretty much
oh, perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, peas are good. I like peas.
Peas are good. Peas are good.
They're my least favorite food on the planet. I literally can't like. Well, I was even in the well, yeah. Ever if the room smells like it, I have to walk out. Like nope.
You know, my brother used to hate peas as well. I think he's probably not so bad about it now. But when we were kids, right, it's like my mother used to sort of get into this thing of like, okay, you just have to eat 5 or 6. And you're
Why
like,
force
but
him to eat peas? Why not just let him eat some other vegetable that he doesn't hate so much? Like, I don't understand why we wage these wars with our children. It's so
but
senseless.
this was the thing that they did, right? But see, but what my brother would do, because it must have been before he was like really sure of the continuity of things, right? So he must have been quite young, right? I only barely remember it, so and he's 3 years younger than me. But yeah, he it was after one of these things where he's being convinced that he's going to eat 6 peas or something like this on the plate. And then I was at my grandmother's place, and she lifted up the plate to clear it, and there's these 6 peas
Under the plate. Yeah, very smart.
underneath it.
Smart boy.
we we have we had a sectional in our house. 3 of us would sit around for a year and a half. We ate there, and we moved out, and we pulled it back. There was like a pile of peas and corns and carrots because we'd have to sit at the table until we were done eating, but our parents would leave and we'd be sitting there and we would pour it back behind there and they'd all dry. It was that like mixture that's frozen peas, corns, and carrots. And yeah, there were a lot back there. Luckily they didn't mold because
There's one of those mixes I've never really understood. Like, I don't buy them myself. I've never cooked with them, but like every so often I notice other people do. And it's like, why would you do that? I'll get I'll get like in the frozen ones, I'll get, like a broccoli, cauliflower, carrot mix, no problems. But just peas, corn, and carrots seems strange to me.
Peas. What was the one that and I've used it myself, but there's beans and cauliflower and carrots and peas and maybe something else. Maybe corn. Is there corn in there as well? But definitely beans, cauliflower, carrots, peas. And I'm pretty sure there's something else. But that was a nice vegetable my mother used to make, and I've continued to make it. Make like a vegetable souffle out of that. Really tasty, simple, light, tasty.
Yeah.
I've got cauliflower and broccoli coming, and I've got a freezer fucking full of broccoli and cauliflower. Had a good harvest of broccoli and cauliflower this year. But yeah, I've got to get it in soon because it doesn't like the heat. The heat, another week or so, it's going to start getting hot. So that's the problem. It kind of all comes at once. Some of the stuff, it kind of all comes at once. Other stuff you can leave in the ground and take bit by bit, but some of it comes all at once. And then what do you do with 8 heads of broccoli? Do you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck do you do with it? And so it just goes in the freezer.
Soup, broccoli bread.
Yeah. Soup. I mean, soup is a common one, right? Soup is an excellent user of large quantities of veg. but I already have a fair bit of soup in my freezer, and there comes a limit with soup. And also, it's nice to have soup and a piece of bread as a snack kind of thing, but it doesn't feel like, it never really feels like a meal to me. A bowl of soup, or even 2 bowls of soup, never really feels like a meal to me.
You add bread, it
No,
feels like a meal to me.
it does.
Like freshly baked bread. There's something, if it's
Oh,
like
bread. Yeah.
crackers, no, but bread, then yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, no,
like,
soup and a sandwich. That's a really nice lunch. Bowl of soup and a sandwich is a really nice lunch.
yeah. Well, I mean, you can always put, chunky sausages in it or something. But like,
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
told I'm not allowed to call them sausages.
I don't do a huge amount of adding. I add little tiny bits of chorizo to stuff just as seasoning, right? I chop it up really fine, put it in the oil, get the oil out of the chorizo, cook in it, and so there's a little bit of umami from that. But the meat content, I don't. Every now and again, when I go out, I'll have a meat dish, and I'm not used to it anymore, and it sits really heavily in me. I had a friend over here recently. He took me out for lunch, and I had this lamb dish, which I've had a couple of times before because I know it's delicious. It's like a shin of lamb, not the shank exactly. I don't know exactly. Well, anyway, whatever. It's a really, really love, but there's quite a lot of meat on it, and just like, almost immediately after I'm like, I was asleep.
Yeah, I miss lamb.
Yeah, lamb is my favorite. Yeah, lamb's my favorite. Although I tell you, if you can get hold of it, which you might be able to where you are, wild boar, yum, yummy-o. I was fortunate enough to be given a piece by a neighbor who I guess shot one. I don't know. There is a season when you're allowed to shoot them. And yeah, so I got a decent size. I was very taken aback. I was expecting it to be kind of piggy and porky, and it wasn't at all. Really dark red meat, like venison, it looked like, and tasted a little bit like as well, actually. Really, really, really delicious. Really delicious. You can just have steaks of it, or you can chop it up and make stews, or you can make whatever, and really do whatever you want with it. Absolutely lovely. And lean, lean, lean. Like if high protein, low fat diet, that's exactly the ticket.
Hmm.
Yeah, if you ask around, I dare say someone somewhere knows where to get hold of some wild boar. They may even sell it at the butchers around your way. I don't know. I don't see it in the butchers here.
I'll have to ask our neighbor. I think she actually mentioned it at one point, and now I'm going, oh, yes, I think we missed out on that, or it didn't happen. It's like,
Did you guys ever read Asterix when you were younger? Did you ever read the Asterix comics?
no, my brother did, so I'm sort of vaguely familiar with the character.
Okay. Well, anyway, Asterix's buddy Obelix, the big fat one, that's what he ate was wild boar all the time. It's just it. That's all he ate was wild boar. I can understand why. What a diet. Yum.
Yeah, I'm getting relatively close to the end of my reading of the Boudica series. Remember me talking about that? I think I must have talked about it, like, must have been nearly a year ago now.
Heldica, as in the whatever fierce queen of England. I don't know exactly her. That one, right? Okay, okay. Where's she like 1,000 years ago, something like that? It was a long time ago, right?
Yeah, well, it was the beginning of the Roman.
Oh, so even further back, Roman invasion time.
Mhm.
Oh, right, yeah. So even further back, 2000, well, maybe not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
2,000 years ago. Pretty close, not
it
quite,
was
but
like
close enough.
70 AD or something.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's a really nice job this author's done.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about her. In England, we call her Boadicea, which I know is incorrect. Boudica is correct, but in English, she's generally known as Boadicea.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean it's a fictional series that's sort of been, extrapolated in all sorts of ways.
Yeah. Like what's his name? Like Hilary Mantel, that sort of stuff. Or Wilbur, what's his name? No, not Wilbur Smith. What's his name? James Michener. That's it. That's what I'm thinking. That kind of stuff, like rooted in a lot of real historical detail, but kind of fictionalized as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I'd say
yeah.
so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think of Colleen McCullough actually when I think of this kind of
Yeah,
author.
okay. I don't know her. I've seen her books on my mother's shelf, but I've never read any of them.
Yeah, a good writer, and her Rome series was really interesting. So
You probably like Hilary Mantel's books, Wolf of Wolf Hall. It's Oliver Cromwell and Henry VIII and all of that kind of stuff. If you like that kind of thing, I think you might like his. I think you might like his books. He's written three or four, something like that. I've only read the first one, part of the first one.
did you say Hilary Mantel?
Yeah, I'm sure it's Hilary Mantel. I'm sure that's right.
Right, then that's a she.
Uh
Wolf Hall,
yeah. Well, yeah.
The Mirror and the Light.
Okay, I always assumed for some reason, even though it is more commonly a woman's name than a man's name, for some reason, I don't know why. I just assumed it was a man. Like, wow, I wonder where I got that from. Rather than wonder whether it was a man or a woman, there'd be some reason why I've made that assumption, but I
Well,
couldn't tell you.
if you've read a bit, it could be that maybe she has a
Possible. Maybe
male
it's just the
writing
writing
style.
style. Yeah, possibly. Maybe that's where I formed the impression. It's possible. That's funny. I was completely unquestioned in my mind that Hillary was a he Hillary, not a she Hillary.
Yeah, interesting. So well written.
Yeah. It's a little slow, lots of descriptive stuff. I personally find that a little bit. I like a little bit more
Difficult to
narrative and
plow through.
action and interaction and that kind of stuff. So if you like that kind of thing, then yes, I would say yes. I personally found it a little slow. My mother loves them. That's why I started reading it, because my mother was on my case about it. You'll love this. You'll love this. But she's particularly fascinated by that period in history anyway. So I think this is possibly why. So maybe they're not that great, and it's just because she's fascinated by that period in history. Maybe that's why she likes them so much. Who knows?
Yeah, well, if she likes the historical ones, I would say that this Boudica series, she
Okay.
might really like that. Yeah.
Okay. I'll mention it to her next time I speak to her.
And you might like it too. It's far more action oriented, action and interaction.
I do quite like James Michener's books. Do you know James Michener?
Let me just check.
He's another one that does that kind of thing. So I read a couple of his books, Caribbean and Pacific, I think it was called.
Tales of the South Pacific. Does that sound right?
I think it was just called Pacific, but maybe it was Tales of the South Pacific. I thought it was just called, or maybe Atlantic. I thought it was just the name of an ocean. But anyway, maybe Tales of the South Pacific, possibly.
Yeah, and like maybe one called Hawaii and one called Alaska and stuff.
Yeah, no, I haven't read those, but Caribbean is the other one I've definitely read. But yeah, it's just same kind of genre. That's the only reason I mention him, is that it's that same kind of different periods in history, but
Interesting. I always find it fascinating, like which books people recommend as well. So there's a series. Have you heard of Diana Gabaldon?
no.
Okay. Well, so I was, a male friend of mine, doesn't read much at all. And he's kind of like, you have to read this, you have to read this, you have to read this book called Cross Stitch. And I was like, I got about a quarter of the way through it, and I was like, this is a fucking romance novel. Historical one, yes, but yeah, and I did read, two or three of them. But yes, it's just one of those things that was like, I was really surprised. He was the last person that I would have expected to ever recommend something like that. Do you read much fiction, Eric?
Not recently, no. No, I mean, I haven't been reading a huge amount of anything at all, but what I have been reading has been Gene Key's Conversations with God, I read recently. I'm rereading some of Castaneda's stuff, so it's that kind of stuff. Is rather than fiction. Although there are those that would say that much of what I've just said is fiction, but
Yeah. Actually, I'm kind of getting into like I'm enjoying the sort of the blurring the lines. Like the stuff that I'm writing with chaotic flow. It's like it's always blurring the lines now.
Yeah, well, lines are an illusion, aren't they? Lines are useful, maybe, but they are constructs.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've kind of got
Useful
this thing of like
navigation tools, but that's it. That's it.
I have no idea what category this should go into in like a bookshop or a library.
You've been rummaging through the Dewey Decimal System to figure out where you belong.
Well, no, no, I mean, I'm just relying on my old understanding of, like how bookshops are laid out and stuff. And
Try looking up because the Dewey Decimal System obviously is a sort of hierarchical, forever subdividable system, right? It's. I mean, it seems simple now, but it's actually very clever in its day. Solved a lot of big problems with how to reference things. But yeah, no, the categorizations that they use, you might find it helpful. I'm not saying like you want to assign yourself a number, but just as a way of thinking, you might find it helpful to your thinking about how to categorize it.
yeah, well, I mean, it's like it could be philosophy, it could be spirituality, it could be self-help, it could be, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be some weird ass story thing. Who knows? Because I suppose the thing is like usually there's like a business section, for instance, and the thing is, chaotic flow can absolutely be applied to business. It's one of those.
I mean, art of relating is a similar kind of beast, isn't it? It could fit into a number of these kinds of categories. Sorry,
Out of alignment.
art of alignment is what I meant. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a similar sort of conundrum. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. How important is it that it be categorized? Like, is that important in terms of it getting published or something? Like, does a publisher have to say, oh, well, this is this kind of, I mean, I guess different publishers specialize in different kinds of things, right? But then
Well,
the
I'm actually
esoteric,
looking to self-publish, or not
right? Okay.
self-publish, but to set up a chaotic flow guild publisher and do it that way. But it's the kind of thing that if I want it in bookshops, for instance, I need to be able to tell them what
Yeah,
to go with. And
I mean, can you write like a one-page synopsis, something like that, so that, and then let the bookshop decide how they want to categorize it, right? Rather than you imposing a category on them, let them decide what they think it is based on a synopsis. I mean, I don't know, but that something like that feels like a nice way to handle it.
yeah, or if I can find an actual physical bookshop somewhere in London, maybe.
Well, yeah, that's another thing, isn't it? Those are a dying thing, bookshops.
Yeah, but it might take a wander around and see what sort of feels like it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's no biggie. It's just an amused kind of note that,
Yeah, and I mean, these are not the first books that have come along that have run into this. What is this book really? Yeah. This must happen really. This must happen quite often, actually, in the book world.
Yeah. I wonder where the
Even
master
with
and his
fiction,
emissary
you know,
goes.
what is this? Is this comedy? Is this horror? Is this, you know, romance? Like, well, this is just all of that and other stuff too, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking that, so the one that I would probably use as a guide. So the master and his emissary. Now, where does that end up?
Philosophy. I'm going to say that's philosophy.
Oh. Okay, no, maybe it doesn't end up where this one ends up. In Amazon, or at least in the UK version of Amazon, it is under neuroscience, basic sciences, medicine, medicine and health sciences, university textbooks.
Wow. I mean, neuroscience, fair enough. But other than that, it seems to get further and further away from it rather than homing in on it.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So it's not the master and his emissary. Maybe the matter with things.
Easy boy.
Ah, okay. The matter with things ends up in philosophy, actually under epistemology.
Yeah, yeah, that would have been, yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, I imagine that's probably the one. But yeah, it's been this little journey that I'm on with the writing up the AI piece is really, it's quite fascinating because I'm on a complete diversion from writing the book, right? Doing this. It's like not very useful. But it's got it's bringing up a lot of very interesting thoughts along the way. You know, like that thing about the capabilities that I was talking about before, and also just kind of looking at another way of talking about the, you know, how AI does that mirroring thing that, you know, like you find creepy and I find creepy. I don't know if Jubilee finds it creepy. But just sort of creepiness aside, like, and actually really thinking about it, it's sort of, I know for, I'm going to say for Scout especially, for Curator probably second, but that mirroring is absolutely toxic, right? Especially if you take it seriously. Just because of the actual environment that you're in, you know what I mean? It's like you're not there trying to get positive feedback for some, you know, like brand new idea. You're trying to get to, you know, you're trying to get to essence. You're trying to get to integrity. You're trying to get to truth. And then just also kind of noticing about how, you know, because our civilization has for so long, like not so much curated, this one's more scant, has systematically down-regulated the archetype, you know, with this thing of like ordering things and building things and measuring things and engineering things, so that, you know, there's basically no space left that's unexplored as far as most people are concerned. So they basically don't have to do scouting, right? And so pretty much as a result, it's like there's not only no work that's paid in it, like other than the occasional eccentric philosopher, and then that's just books really, or the occasional academic. But the skills that are required for it are they're basically non-existent, right? But the thing is like we all have to do some scouting, and with this AI mirroring thing that's going on, I think that this is like really bad, because the worse you are at scouting or the less competent you are with those skills, the more vulnerable you are to that mirroring thing that's going on.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And yeah, I also feel like AI used properly could be an aid to scouting.
Very minimal, in fact, less helpful for scouting
Like
than
just for
any of the
spitballing,
others.
you know what I mean? And just bouncing ideas and listening to what bounces off of it and so on. Just I've actually found that to be really, really productive.
For curator more so than for scout, right? Because the thing is, curators kind of looking at a fair bit of information that's coming in from history, right? And trying to spot the patterns and investigate in it and sort of bring clarity in stuff that actually exists, right? For scouting, it's not working with things that exist. It and AI just can't do it. It's like all it throws up are just random associations, which is just noise.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying those random associations can then in turn spark things which may otherwise not have come, right? Like that's that's like
not much.
release intuitions that may otherwise not have come to the surface, right?
I mean, look, it's possible. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but it's a really bad
nor am I
there.
suggesting for a moment that it be relied on in any way, but I'm saying it is potentially a tool in the kit kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, I get that, but then like honestly, tea leaves, and I don't even know how to read tea leaves. Are better.
Yeah, fair enough. No, fair enough. Whatever floats your boat. Yeah, whatever it is that allows that, non-causal, insight, say something like that. I don't know, but yeah, absolutely. I agree. Tea leaves are just as good, but yeah, in a way, I hear what you're saying. Yes, that's funny. Tea leaves.
I don't even know how to read them, but yeah, it's mostly just because it's like it's unknown, and so there's nothing that AI hangs on to, and the hallucinations are just they're pretty much awful. But yeah, it's just been really interesting going through and kind of going, okay, so this is what AI can do, this is what humans can do, this is what from multiple different perspectives. And anyway, what I kind of end up with, for example, like even just looking at the Chronos and Kairos thing, right? So AI, brilliant at Chronos, cannot do Kairos, right? So basically, AI is best for. Oh, have I lost you?
Hello, I'm still there.
Okay, well, so AI is most able to be used for regulator, then for cultivator, then steward and pioneer about equal, then curator, and last of all, scout. And that's just looking at the amount of kairos that's necessary. So regulator can do quite a lot of chronos. Cultivator can do a fair bit of chronos. And there's a pretty big drop off from there to steward and pioneer. And then curator and then scout. And then looking at the conditions in which it's activated, which is the kind of thing like how much information is there for AI to look at? It's like, or relevant information. And you end up with the same pattern again. Because regulator has got like as much up-to-date bulk information to draw from as ever exists, right? And then cultivator, and then pioneer and steward. It's like it's really interesting to me, anyway.
I'm gonna make myself a very quick snack. I'll just be 2 minutes.
Okay.
Means I might actually have to hold my part of the conversation.
Yes.
Actually speak. What? Oh. I don't know what to actually say because I'm always stuck in the signs and symbols. Today was sitting in the coffee shop in real world signs and symbols and sitting there having cheesecake waiting for my daughter to be done so I could bring her home. Somebody walked by in an Oilers jersey with McDavid on it, which like he's the captain of the Oilers. That was my young cousin's favorite team, favorite player. And lucky anyway, he was January 13th when I looked up his birthday because I didn't know it. And then while sitting there, the bus drove by and there was 2 movies on it, and one of them, I looked up one of them, and none of them. I didn't even notice. I clicked on one of the actors. There's like 20 cast members. One of them was called Valentina. So I was like, yeah, and it was also January 13th. It's the woman from Seinfeld. Anyway, just constant signs and symbols. So watching movies that, yeah.
Do you think that that the signs and the symbols, do they sort of tell you something in particular, or are they more just pointing to pay attention to this kind of thing?
I think they're both. I think kind of like tarot cards or something, like reading into them, but very much for the reader themselves, like interpreting a dream or something. And I think there is something huge going on that our ancestors are showcasing through the signs and symbols that is something that isn't necessarily supposed to make sense, because that's kind of how we've gotten into the mess we've gotten into, individually and collectively. I'm like, right, well, I don't know, there's a lot in the narcissist playbook, the stuff that comes up again and again. And like I can now, it's dangerous, but I can tell a narcissist. It's like by the keywords. I'm like, nope, that's just a flying monkey. I'm like that, like I don't even need to know what's going on. I can tell you the flying monkey of like, what's your end game here? And anyway, played out on the world stage of Israel and Hamas and that of like, yeah, what is the end game? Only one side's allowed to ask. Only one side does ask. Anyway, you can't logically, there is no end game when one person will never, or one group is never done. It's both unfolding, like there's something huge going on, and it's, fun and games and tarot cards at the same time.
Yeah. I look at that. I mean, I am not following like the Israel and Gaza or Russia Ukraine thing. It's like I know that they're going on. I hate that it's going on, but I can't pay attention to it, because if I do, I'd just end up in a useless place for me. But there is something that I wonder about with the Israel Palestine thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Israel was basically carved out, right, after the war. And it was land that people were already living on. And it is also, as I understand it at least, I don't quite want to call it Holy Land, but meaningful to a few different religions, right? And I've got this thing about the absolute nonsense of humans owning things. And so, there's a little part of me that wonders whether maybe this is how that ownership thing finally gets properly looked at.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that's happening with Israel and Gaza specifically. And yeah, I think land ownership and colonization, it's drastic. It's a lot concentrated in one small location, one small time period that makes a lot of things that happened in other places over generations much more evident. Anyway.
Are either of you familiar with Louis Theroux?
Yeah.
He visited. Oi, knock it off, you two. Oi. Yeah, he visited Israel and Gaza recently and hung out. If you don't know him, Carly, he's got a particular knack of getting people to just open up and just say what they think, kind of thing. and I haven't seen the whole thing. I saw a couple of clips of it, and yeah, really interesting. It's worth checking out.
How do
He
you
gets
spell that name?
Louis, Louis, and then his last name Theroux.
Okay, yeah.
So there's I'm not familiar with the Airbender world universe, but there's someone that's taken to going to pro-Israel protests. He records them and puts them on TikTok, which is why I know about them, where he's dressed up as what is like the equivalent of, I think, Hitler, like a Nazi from that time world. And like, anyway, using the rhetoric from that time period of like, these people never existed. And there's something about that protest that's like, both ineffective in my world because I don't know what you're talking about, and also I know exactly what you're talking about because you're going to Israel protests and saying.
Okay, so I need to. I suppose it must be that one, but I don't know which one that one is. Yeah, so apparently there's two Louis Theroux. One that is a British American journalist and broadcaster, and the other one of whom is a writer, rapper, actor, and trailblazing UK musical artist.
Probably the first one. Unless he took up music in the last.
Kind of geeky looking guy with glasses.
Yeah. That one sort of seems more likely.
Yeah. Anyway, he's very good. A couple of friends of mine absolutely think he's the absolute cat's whiskers.
Mm. And on this topic in particular?
Well, the clips that I saw were just quite revealing, and I mean, he and it seems like he visited settlers, he visited Palestinians, he visited Israel as well. Yeah, so it's like sort of all three, and I think may probably spent some time with the military as well. I'm not sure. As I say, I haven't seen the whole thing. I only saw a couple of clips.
Well, one thing I will say
It
is
was a
that
BBC thing, so you can get it through the iPlayer so long as you pretend you're living in it, so long as you do it through a UK VPN.
It was also on YouTube when it was released. It was.
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
They got taken down right away, so like you had to, you know what I mean? Like you can't share a link because it'll get taken down within a few days. But the relevant parts, I believe, have been shown.
Rumble, you probably find it a bit more reliably on Rumble or Odyssey. You probably find it on there more reliably.
Yeah, well, if it's on Rumble, I'll have a look for that. So I gather he's talking to a few different groups, like not just taking a one-sided approach.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm impressed by his courage.
Yeah, I don't see it on YouTube at the moment. There's a few clips, but I'm not.
What was it called?
I think it's called Settlers.
Okay, so I'm seeing BBC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a BBC thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, hopefully.
I mean, I don't know if it seems to be the most effective form of journalism. We need stories, and like journalism, Mike on the street doesn't work anymore. We don't trust it. We don't, like, on every level. Having people go and anyway, having trusted people go and interview isn't the most journalist of journalism, but is more gets the story up.
I agree. I just think we need to be a little bit mindful of the fact that, who knows how many people he actually interviewed while he was over there? Who knows what was cut and not cut in the editing suite to create what impressions according to whose agenda and blah, blah, blah. Like, we just don't know any of these things.
It's true. Just one of the reasons, like to me, one of the biggest eye-opening parts of Israel and Gaza since October 7th was Hamza's live stream on Omegle, where he was just randomly like he's doing it live. So although he would clip the worst of the Israelis, you can see the rhetoric, right? And the odd time he would get someone he would have a deep conversation with, but a lot of it is school children who are just yelling slurs at him because he's Palestinian. And like there's like when you're doing it live, a certain amount of trust is built up. At the same time, like he's not necessarily going to pick a platform maybe the more left leaning Israelis are on, or you know what I mean, that kind of. And then there's a YouTuber that is Israeli, and he long before October 7th, he got put in the psych ward actually since October 7th during this. Anyway, he is Israeli and goes to a lot of Palestinian places and interviews and embeds himself. And I don't remember my point of that was, but his going and interviewing people, and he seems to have more of a balanced approach, which seems to come off anti-Israeli, but I think that is what it ends up being when you're showing both sides of that conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to have a look. So I think I probably want to stop at the bottom of the hour. How are you guys going? Do you want me to?
No, that's fine with me.
Yeah, works for me.
Okay. Well, lovely to catch up. Good to see you shelling peas, Eric.
Yeah, well, they're done, at least for the next couple of days. I'll get that many again in 2 or 3 days' time. They're going very nicely, the peas. I was not so sure about them early on, but yeah, once they got going, they and the framework for them to grow on is better than it has been previously as well. So they're really wrapping themselves around. It's going to be a bitch untangling them from it all afterwards, but whatever.
I have no food growing in my backyard, but gee is stuff growing. This is the seed, but it's like none of it's food, but it is quite bountiful, whatever it is in the garden beds.
Cool. Doesn't really matter what it is. Growing stuff is growing stuff.
I seem to remember that peas are nitrogen fixers. Is that right?
Yeah, peas and beans are both nitrogen fixers. Yeah.
All right. See you next week.
All right, guys. See you next week. Ciao, ciao.